On my wedding night with Jiang Yan, I saw a tattoo on his body. It was a purple cyclamen. The winding stem and leaves started from Jiang Yan's lower abdomen, the most private area, and stretched all the way to the hollow of his back, the most sensitive spot on his body. It was wild, seductive, and mesmerizing. Yet, I felt as if a bucket of cold water had been dumped on me. All my desire instantly vanished. I'm the type of person who's both wild and independent, with a possessive streak so strong I can't stand for my things to bear the marks left by someone else. I tried to suppress my anger and asked him directly. "Who gave you that tattoo?" Jiang Yan didn't answer. He lowered his gaze, his voice indifferent. "It seems we're not yet at the point where we need to dig into each other's pasts." I laughed, out of pure fury. "Then what is our marriage?" "Just an alliance of convenience." Actually, Jiang Yan wasn't wrong. My family, the Wen family, has been in business for generations, with an extremely traditional family code. When a Wen family daughter came of age, she absolutely had to marry into a suitable family to secure benefits for the clan. The elders selected several potential husbands for me. And those men? Some were ugly, some were bald. Some spoke rudely and behaved terribly. Some even wanted to drag me to bed the first time we met. Without exception, they all made me sick to my stomach. I detested those men, and I hated the people in power who set these disgusting rules. Defying my father's wrath, I rebelled, flat out refusing all of them. Until one business party, I met a man. Jiang Yan. The rising star of the capital's business world. Unlike our generational families, he started from nothing and amassed a significant fortune in just a few years. Not only was his mind sharp, but he was also tall and straight, with an unbelievably perfect face. After a short time interacting with him, I found that although he was somewhat cold, he wasn't like other men who stared at me without reservation. He behaved with restraint, distant yet very polite. I gently swirled the wine in my glass, pondering silently. No family backing meant no annoying, cumbersome traditions to bear. And that face alone, I could look at it my entire life and never get tired. If I really had to marry, choosing him was better than marrying those disgusting toads. After that party, I latched onto him. As expected, he was as cold as ice, completely unmoved. So, I hired a bunch of marketing accounts, fabricating love scandals about him every day, posting them all over the internet and even getting them trending. Then I sent them to him and said, "Look, high-quality single men who refuse to get married get all sorts of things made up about them by unscrupulous media. If you don't marry soon, people will say you're gay tomorrow, believe me?" Jiang Yan. He was annoyed. Finally, he agreed to me. He wanted peace. And I desired his body, no, not really, but close. My family also saw his potential. All three parties were satisfied. Yet, this husband I had chosen myself. On our wedding night, just as we were consumed by desire, that faint, seductive cyclamen tattoo unexpectedly revealed itself. Even though we had no emotional foundation, and my feelings for him were purely carnal, this man before me, after all, was someone I had personally chosen. How could my man be a used item bearing someone else's mark? On the wedding bed strewn with rose petals, I gently traced the tattoo. The color was slightly faded, probably from a few years ago. This tattoo is quite crude. You can tell it's not the work of a professional artist. Was it one of your mistresses who used you as a guinea pig? Jiang Yan showed no expression, not even bothering to glance at me. He got out of bed and got dressed. As he buttoned his shirt, his slender fingers lightly brushed over the cyclamen petals. His movements were very gentle, but disturbingly sensual. I couldn't help but blurt out, "You look so proper on the outside, but I guess you're just as wild as anyone else." Jiang Yan finished dressing, his face emotionless. "I don't care about your past relationships, and you shouldn't be curious about mine." He indirectly admitted that the tattoo was indeed left by an ex. After saying that, he left the bedroom. On our wedding night, my husband left me alone, deserted in an empty room. My old man probably never dreamed his daughter would endure such a thing. I'm very intense, and very stubborn. I could accept that Jiang Yan had been with women before, after all, he was 29, not young. But leaving such an ambiguous mark, I couldn't stomach it. Rage made me lose my reason. And when I lose my reason, I usually go crazy. That very night, I drove to a subsidiary of the Wen Group. Although the Wen family was traditional, they were very sharp in business, investing in many high-tech fields. One of the new projects was in its testing phase, not yet released to the market. This project utilized quantum entanglement to transmit information or matter, thereby achieving instant teleportation. Simply put, time travel. Although the technology wasn't perfected, I didn't mind being the first to test it. I entered the control room and climbed into the operating capsule. I had to go back to the past. I wanted to see with my own eyes who had tasted Jiang Yan before me. Ultimately, the technology wasn't perfected. On my very first time jump, I arrived at the wrong moment. On the control device strapped to my wrist, the time displayed was 21 years ago. I followed the publicly known address where Jiang Yan had lived, finding an old, dilapidated house. As soon as I reached the door, loud shouts and beating sounds erupted from inside. Through the open door, I saw a disheveled woman frantically beating a child with a broom. It was 8-year-old Jiang Yan. Outside, a few neighbors stood watching, clucking their tongues and sighing. Yan's mom is sick again. He's been having a hard time these past few days, sigh. I looked over, and a kind aunt immediately explained to me. His mom used to be quite normal, but it was only last year she found out his dad had another family outside. She was deceived for so many years, being a mistress without even knowing it. When everything came to light, that man ran away, and the kid's mom went completely crazy. When she gets sick, she beats her son, no one can stop her. Poor kid. I looked into the courtyard. Little Jiang Yan was cowering, curled up on the ground from the beating. I wasn't the type to meddle in others' affairs. But Jiang Yan was my husband, even if in the future, I couldn't let him be beaten like this. Even if the person beating him was his own mother. So I stepped into the house. Hello, I'm Jiang Yan's teacher. I'm here for a home visit. The woman, who was raising a plastic chair to strike Jiang Yan, immediately froze. She gasped for breath, turned to look at me, somewhat breaking out of her frenzy. You're little Yan's teacher? That's right. I ignored little Jiang Yan's astonished gaze and smiled politely at the woman. Jiang Yan is very quiet at school and doesn't interact with his friends. I suspected there might be issues with his upbringing at home, so I decided to visit. And now, it seems I was right. With just that one sentence, Jiang Yan's mother became enraged again. What issues does my family have? I'm teaching my son, what right do you, an outsider, have to speak? She shrieked until her voice was hoarse, completely shifting her target to me. Does your attire look like a teacher's? You're clearly a vixen. You're obviously trying to seduce a student's parent. You. Slap. I didn't wait for her to finish speaking, immediately raising my hand and slapping her hard. She was dazed by the unexpected slap. Little Jiang Yan, like a startled rabbit, instantly jumped up and ran to shield his mother, glaring at me. His mother had clearly beaten him so terribly, yet when a villain like me appeared, he didn't hesitate to defend her. What right do you have to hit my mother? Then what right does your mother have to hit you? What right does she have to curse at me? I looked at the woman behind him. It doesn't feel good to be hit, does it? But the way you hit your son is far more brutal than how I hit you. The woman was stunned, lowering her head to look at Jiang Yan. His entire body was covered in bruises, and the back of his right hand was swollen like a bun from being hit hard with the broom. She suddenly covered her face and burst into tears. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, little Yan, mommy is sorry. I wasn't interested in her repentance scene. I turned my back and left the small courtyard. I wasn't here for an 8-year-old kid. I couldn't spend too much time at this point. I didn't expect Jiang Yan to chase after me. He hobbled to block my path, his dark eyes staring intently. Who are you? Why are you pretending to be my teacher? This small figure was truly too adorable, making me want to tease him a little. I'm a human trafficker. I specialize in kidnapping children. You're so handsome, you'll definitely be worth a lot. Jiang Yan was indeed scared. He retreated in panic, his lips pressed tightly together. On Jiang Yan's 29-year-old face, such an expression would be absolutely impossible. Suddenly, I felt a sense of glee. I couldn't help but burst into laughter. Taking advantage of little Jiang Yan turning to run away, I pressed the control device on my wrist. Time traveling again. However, this time I arrived at the wrong time again. I looked at the number displayed on the control device and sighed. The time had only advanced 6 years from the previous visit. Now, Jiang Yan was 14 years old. In the courtyard, several burly men were cursing loudly. Damn it, when borrowing money, he acts like a king, when paying it back, he hides like a coward, scurrying everywhere. You think we can't do anything if he doesn't come home? Someone brought a bucket of red paint and splashed it hard on the outer wall, then took a brush and wrote 2 large characters in bold, sweeping strokes, "Pay debt." Jiang Yan had just returned from school, and this was the sight that greeted him. He seemed too accustomed to such things, his expression calm, almost emotionless. Amidst the murmurs of the onlookers, I gradually understood what had happened in the past 4 years. Jiang Yan's mother's mental state had worsened. A year ago, she found her way to the home of Jiang Yan's father's legal wife. In her bewildered, sick frenzy, she burned down that man's house, and under the horrified, desperate eyes of Jiang Yan's father and his legal wife, she jumped from the 13th floor without hesitation. She used death to exact revenge on that man. Extreme, insane, foolish. The incident caused a huge sensation. Jiang Yan's father's long-term affair was exposed everywhere. His wife angrily demanded a divorce, and his company fired him. Overnight, he lost both his family and his career. After that, he spent his days drinking, then got involved in gambling, and finally borrowed from loan sharks. All thanks to the kindness of that scummy father. The debt collectors had come to their house more than once. Jiang Yan, only 14, was forced to get used to such things. After the debt collectors left, a man wearing a hat and mask stealthily entered the house. As soon as he stepped through the door, he slapped Jiang Yan across the face. I've investigated everything. Your mother left you a sum of money before she died. Where's the money? I'm asking you, where's the money? Jiang Yan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, not saying a word. The man went furious, cursing loudly and then kicking Jiang Yan hard. Your mother was a WH***E. And you're an animal. How much more do you two want to ruin me? Trashy people are always like that, they never reflect on themselves, only blame others. I really couldn't stand it anymore. I pushed the door open, casually grabbed a bottle of alcohol from the table, and smashed it directly onto the man's head. He screamed, clutching his bleeding head, and turned around. Who the hell are you? I sneered, picked up an ashtray, and without hesitation, smashed it onto his head again. Asking who I am? Your dad owes us a ton of money, and you're still asking who I am? The man, his head covered in blood, was terrified by me, thinking I was a debt collector from a loan shark company. He began to panic. I said I'd pay. Just give me a little more time. That WH***E left money for him, as soon as I get it, I'll pay. Don't say such useless things to me. I pretended to be impatient and pulled out my phone. Brother 2, where are you? Are you in East Street? Yeah, I'm holding him here, you guys bring the stuff and hurry up. As soon as I hung up, the man trembled like a leaf. I really will pay, just a little more time. Go ask my brothers. They're much easier to talk to than I am. After saying that, I gave him a dark smile. He was completely terrified, pushed me aside, and frantically rushed out. Aggressive as a demon with his son, but timid as a mouse with debt collectors, truly a coward. I snorted, cursing under my breath. Useless trash. Then I turned to look at Jiang Yan. From the moment I appeared, he had been staring at me unblinkingly. I asked, "Do you remember me?" Jiang Yan nodded. "Yes. Last time you said you were my teacher, then you said you were a human trafficker. This time, you're a debt collector." This kid has a good memory. I've only been here twice. The first time I hit your mom, the second time I hit your dad. Aren't you mad at me? After you hit my mom, she stopped hitting me. As for my dad, he deserved to be beaten to death. Jiang Yan said in a calm, emotionless voice, as he applied red oil to the wounds his father had inflicted. His movements were practiced, as if he'd done it hundreds, thousands of times. He didn't bother to pay attention to me anymore. After treating his wounds, he went into the kitchen, scooped a bowl of rice, added a few drops of soy sauce, and sat down to eat. I stood watching, completely stunned. "You're just eating that?" "Yeah." I looked at his frighteningly thin body, and the muscular physique of 29-year-old Jiang Yan flashed in my mind. He lived like a stray cat when he was little, but somehow, he grew up like that later. I had originally planned to leave immediately. But seeing him like this now, I really couldn't abandon him. After all, he was going to be my husband in the future. How could he live such a miserable life? The next day, I rented an apartment near Jiang Yan's school. In the evening, I intercepted him after school and pulled him along. I paid a year's rent. "For the next year, you'll stay here. Don't go back to that place anymore." Jiang Yan was extremely cold, not paying me any attention. So I played my trump card. "You're about to take your junior high graduation exams. And those loan sharks keep showing up at your house every few days, causing trouble, and that scumbag father keeps coming to demand money. With so many distractions, how are you going to study? I helped you this time, but what about next time? And the time after that?" Jiang Yan stopped. For him now, education was the only way to change his fate. He really needed to escape all of this. "What do you want?" he asked me. I smiled. "I'm planning to stay here for a while and I need someone to cook and clean." "Deal." Agreement established. So Jiang Yan moved into the apartment. It was a duplex apartment. I lived upstairs, and he lived downstairs. Every morning, he woke up early to make breakfast for me before going to school. In the evening, after school, he would clean the house first, then cook dinner. This kid was very skilled and meticulous, and he cooked very well. I was completely satisfied with my housekeeper. In the evenings, he would sit in the living room studying and doing practice problems. I would sit across from him, quietly drawing. Drawing a cyclamen. It was the flower on 29-year-old Jiang Yan's waist. My memory was very good. I only needed one glance to roughly remember the entire design. For the first few days, neither of us bothered the other. Until about a week later, the kid started to pay attention to my drawing. He walked over. "Why do you keep drawing this?" I thought for a moment, then decided to tell the truth. "Because this flower will be tattooed on your body later." Jiang Yan frowned. "I would never let anyone tattoo something like that on me." "Humph. He sounds tough, doesn't he?" If I weren't from the future, I might actually believe him. The next day, I was still watching movies at home as usual, waiting for Jiang Yan to return from school. But I waited until late at night and still didn't see him. This kid didn't have a phone yet, so I couldn't contact him. Suddenly, a feeling of unease welled up in my heart. I immediately went out to look for him. I searched until I reached an alley near his school, where I saw Jiang Yan being choked by his scumbag father, pressed against the wall. "You really think I can't find you if you hide? What if I don't know where you live? Don't I know your school? Hand over the money now." Cornered by the debt collectors, he no longer cared about right or wrong. His eyes were bloodshot and frantic, glaring at Jiang Yan, his whole body emanating a crazed murderous aura. I saw Jiang Yan about to be choked purple, and anger flared in my head. I rushed over and pushed the man away. "Damn it, are you crazy? You'd lay hands on your own son?" After saying that, I ran to help Jiang Yan, who was coughing violently from lack of oxygen. "Are you okay, you little brat?" Before he could catch his breath, Jiang Yan looked at me in a panic. "Why are you here? If I wasn't here, you'd be beaten to death. What does it have to do with you? Go away." Suddenly, a sinister laugh rang out from behind. "Damn you, B******H, you tricked me so badly that day. I looked for you for days and couldn't find you, but I never thought you'd come looking for trouble yourself." The man grabbed a stick he found somewhere and lunged at me. I instinctively pushed Jiang Yan behind me to shield myself. The stick landed hard on my shoulder, hurting so much that I screamed. The man became even more agitated, hitting and cursing. B*****H, you think you're so great? You dared to smash my head last time, this time I'll teach you a lesson. Suddenly, his movements froze. He slowly turned his head and saw Jiang Yan holding a large brick. "You bastard." He didn't even finish his sentence before collapsing to the ground. Jiang Yan threw the brick away, not even glancing at it, and rushed towards me. "Are you okay? Are you kidding me? It hurts like hell." It hurt so much that tears almost came out. From a distance, the wail of police sirens sounded. That man who had been so loud earlier must have led someone on the street to call the police. Jiang Yan helped me up, his small face, usually calm, now clearly showing worry. "Let's go to the hospital." "Go to the hospital, my foot. I have to leave soon." Just now, that bastard hit my wrist, right on the control device, pressing the time travel button. It would automatically restart in 3 minutes. Jiang Yan, unaware, frowned and asked, "Are you afraid of the police? Are you a fugitive? Have you ever seen a fugitive as beautiful and elegant as me?" I glared. "Anyway, I have to go. You might have a very difficult few years ahead, but everything will be fine. Wait for me to come back and find you." With that, I stumbled and ran to the end of the alley, turning left. By the time Jiang Yan caught up, my figure had completely disappeared. When I returned, it was almost dawn. 2 consecutive time jumps, plus being injured. Both my body and mind were exhausted to the limit. I quickly drove home, just in time to see Jiang Yan preparing to leave for work. We ran into each other. I had no energy to deal with him, so I brushed past him, intending to go straight upstairs to sleep. Unexpectedly, Jiang Yan suddenly stopped me. "Are you hurt?" Oh, he actually noticed. "None of your business." He looked at me for a few seconds, pressed his lips together, then pulled me to the sofa. "Sit down." 29-year-old Jiang Yan, speaking with a cold face, certainly had an aura. I obediently sat down and watched him go get the first aid kit and return. "Take off your jacket." I silently took off my jacket. The bruises on my shoulder and back were immediately exposed. "How did you get such severe injuries?" Jiang Yan took a deep breath. "Or should we go to the hospital?" "Don't be so troublesome, it's not serious. Just treat it for me, you're used to dealing with these kinds of injuries anyway." After all, he never lacked beatings when he was little. Jiang Yan said nothing more. He quietly helped me apply the medicine. In contrast to his cold and rigid exterior, his movements were incredibly gentle, almost not causing me any pain. At some point, I fell asleep. When I woke up, the sun was high in the sky. I groggily went downstairs, intending to ask the housekeeper to make me some porridge, but as soon as I entered the kitchen, I saw Jiang Yan. He was standing in the kitchen. The 14-year-old boy used to cook for me, but the feeling that 14-year-old Jiang Yan gave was completely different from 29-year-old Jiang Yan. The tall, handsome man, usually dressed neatly in a shirt and suit, was cold and ascetic. But at this moment, wearing loungewear and an apron, cooking porridge in the kitchen, he exuded a warm, ordinary feeling that was comforting. In the pot, shrimp porridge was bubbling. The aroma filled the kitchen. I stood there drooling for a while, then obediently sat down at the dining table. The porridge was quickly served, along with 3 simple side dishes. Both the color and the taste were exactly how he used to cook when he was little. I took a mouthful of porridge, hesitated a little, then ventured to ask. Can I ask something about your father? I still remembered the 14-year-old Jiang Yan. I wondered what he had gone through after I left. He died. Huh? When I was 15, he drank too much and had a cerebral hemorrhage. What about before that? He said it casually, but I could guess how miserable his life must have been that year. He was clearly just a child, yet he had endured too much pain. Thankfully, that scumbag died. Although I knew I shouldn't think that way, I still breathed a sigh of relief for little Jiang Yan. After the meal, my mother called. Xiaoyu, when are you two planning to go on your honeymoon? Honeymoon? Jiang Yan and I hadn't even consummated our marriage. Sharing a meal without arguing was already a peaceful achievement. What honeymoon? I bluntly replied. It's just a honeymoon, nothing important. It's fine if we don't go. Hanging up, I looked at Jiang Yan. His expression was as cold as ever, but for some reason, I felt he was a little annoyed. He was preparing to go to the company, going into the bedroom to change. I followed him in. At this moment, his shirt was still unbuttoned, revealing a neat neckline, sharp collarbones, and a small red mole adorned just below them. Oh my God! He was absolutely captivating. I couldn't resist, stepping closer, one by one undoing the buttons he had just fastened. Jiang Yan frowned. Stop messing around, I have to go to work. I ignored him. My fingers traced his firm abdominal muscles, slowly stroking downwards to his lower abdomen. I couldn't help but swallow. When all the buttons were undone, his upper body was exposed, and the tattoo on his lower abdomen was clearly visible before me. I had been longing for him, but suddenly felt inexplicably annoyed. An unfounded fire ignited within me. I pushed him down onto the bed, lowered my head, and bit hard on his collarbone. I didn't hold back, biting until it bled slightly. A low groan escaped his lips. Are you a dog? I sat up, licking the blood from the corner of my mouth. Others can leave their marks on you, and so can I, starting with this bite mark. Tattoos can fade, but scars can't. Jiang Yan gritted his teeth, looking at me for a moment, then suddenly flipped over and pinned me down. You think I don't get angry? His movements were extremely intimate, extremely ambiguous. I tried to keep my composure, pointing to the cyclamen. Get rid of that tattoo. It bothers me when I see it. Can't. If you don't erase it, I'll scratch it off. My anger made me lose all reason. My sharp fingernails dug deep into the skin of his abdomen, scratching hard. A warm, sticky sensation transferred to my fingertips. Jiang Yan gritted his teeth, enduring the pain, not saying a word, only pushing me away with a cold face. Don't be so unreasonable. It's just a tattoo. He simply bandaged the wound, put on his suit jacket, his voice dropping significantly. Calm down. I'm going to the company. With that, he left again. I stood on the second floor, watching his car slowly disappear, so angry I gnashed my teeth. Damn it. A man who's been handled by others. The more dissatisfied I was with 29-year-old Jiang Yan, the more I wanted to know who had made him so attached, to the point where he couldn't even remove a tattoo that represented an old love. Carrying my anger, I rushed straight to the company, activating time travel once more. The result, wrong time again. This time, Jiang Yan was 20 years old. He was already in college. 20-year-old Jiang Yan was tall, with an outstanding aura, cold yet handsome. Just him standing there was enough to make people unable to look away. I secretly followed him all afternoon. Towards evening, as he was on his way to tutor, I suddenly rushed out from a nearby alley, aggressively pinning him against the wall. Jiang Yan was a little surprised, instinctively raising his hand to push me away, but when he saw my face, his hand froze. When you? I was still angry at the 29-year-old version, so I had little affection for the 20-year-old version in front of me. It's your auntie here, I'm back. Jiang Yan bent down to pick up the book I had knocked down, then looked up, observing me carefully. I've always found it very strange. Many years have passed, why haven't you changed at all? Because I'm a demon, immortal and ageless. Jiang Yan suddenly chuckled. It was the first time I'd heard him laugh. First a teacher, then a human trafficker, then a debt collector, and now a demon? I didn't answer. He asked again. What are you here for this time? The first time I came, I hit his mother. The second time, I hit his father. This time, was I planning to hit him too? I grumbled. To catch him in the act. Actually, it wasn't exactly catching him in the act. After all, Jiang Yan was 29 years old, it was normal for him to have dated someone before marrying me. If you looked at it by time, currently, I was the other woman. But I just wasn't willing. I lifted his t-shirt, revealing his lower abdomen. Smooth, fair skin, clear abdominal muscles, absolutely no tattoo. I let his shirt fall back down. The whole process left Jiang Yan wide-eyed with surprise. What are you doing? Nothing. How strange. Jiang Yan lowered his gaze, not looking at me anymore, his ears flushed red. Last time, your injury, was it serious? I was a little surprised. For me, it was just yesterday, but for him, 6 years had passed. Yet he still remembered. Not serious, it healed a long time ago. Jiang Yan's gaze swept over my neck, where a corner of a bandage was still visible. He pressed his lips together. I don't know which of your words are true anymore. Enough nonsense. I directly threw him a room key card. Nanqiao Hotel, come find me tonight. I had already lost a step in the future, but now that I was back in the past, and Jiang Yan was also an adult, I had to secure the first base first. That night, Jiang Yan actually came. When he entered the room, I deliberately didn't shy away, openly displaying my sheer, seductive lace nightgown right in front of him. Jiang Yan's face instantly flushed crimson, his eyes quickly dropping, not daring to look at me. It made me want to die laughing. I walked over and put my arms around his neck. Calling you to a hotel in the middle of the night, don't you know what I want? His Adam's apple bobbed slightly, his voice deep and hoarse. I need to know who you are, why you keep coming to find me. I'm from the future. I'm your wife when you're 29. Under Jiang Yan's stunned gaze, I calmly told him the truth. At that time, you had a secret you were hiding from me. It made me very uncomfortable, so I came back myself to find out what that secret was. Jiang Yan obviously didn't believe me and started to get annoyed. You liar, there's not a single true word out of your mouth. If you don't believe me, then fine. Immediately after, I lifted his shirt. This body was young and firm, spotlessly clean, without that hateful tattoo. Combined with that perfect face. It truly made my heart itch. I just kept tracing his flat abdomen, little by little. Experiencing something like this for the first time, Jiang Yan was visibly awkward, his whole body trembling. When my hand slid to the hollow of his back, he couldn't take it anymore and quickly grabbed my hand. No. I never would have thought that spot was his sensitive point. I pressed closer to him, lightly blowing into his ear. Do you mean, you can't? No man could endure that question. Jiang Yan gritted his teeth, flipped me over, pinning me down, and leaned close. Let me show you who can't. To be honest, the first night's experience wasn't as good as expected. You really can't expect much from a virgin. Jiang Yan seemed a little annoyed. It's okay, you'll get used to these things with practice, I comforted him. The next evening, I called him to the hotel again. This time, the experience was a little better. "Not bad, you're truly a good student," I encouraged him. On the third day, he came to find me on his own. This time, my feeling was quite good, even satisfied. Afterward, I was drenched in sweat and was about to take a shower when I was suddenly hugged from behind. Jiang Yan lightly squeezed my waist, his voice soft. "What are we, now? Didn't I tell you? I'm your future wife. Tell me the truth." "That is the truth." Jiang Yan sighed, his voice tinged with helplessness. "If what you say is true, then why did I wait until I was 29 to marry you? Because before that, you had a white moonlight, didn't you?" I turned and pushed him away, poking him in the chest. "Even after marrying me, you still couldn't forget her." "No way." Jiang Yan replied firmly, "I won't like anyone else." I laughed mockingly. "Men, you know, don't believe a single word they say." After that, Jiang Yan fell silent. He didn't come to the hotel to find me for the next 2 days either. This guy really held a grudge for a long time. As for me, I had just sampled Jiang Yan and was in the addicted phase. 2 days without touching him was indeed a bit much. So I went to his school. Men, you know, a few sweet words are all it takes to make them stop being angry. Unexpectedly, I saw him walking with another girl. The girl had long hair draped over her shoulders, wearing a sporty sweatshirt, and carrying a drawing board on her back. She looked young and vibrant. She walked beside Jiang Yan, laughing and talking, her voice sweet. And Jiang Yan was strangely quiet, listening intently, occasionally even curling his lips into a faint smile. I stood rooted to the spot, a little dazed. Was it her? The girl who knew how to draw. Was that cyclamen left by her? A suffocating feeling welled up inside me, making me furious, and I dragged myself to a bar. After downing several mojitos, my eyes started to wander, settling on a few dancers seductively pole dancing. Looking around, I chose one who looked passable. I walked over and tucked money into his collar. "Nice moves, keep shaking it." The guy immediately grinned, shaking even more enthusiastically. "You like watching? Then I'll just dance for you, just one person. See? Men who know how to proactively please are the best. Good boy, I adore your type." I chuckled, about to stuff more money into his collar when a hand suddenly grabbed my wrist. I turned around and was met with Jiang Yan's face, so angry it looked like smoke was about to come out of his ears. "You said you're my future wife, so what exactly are you doing?" I flung his hand away, tilting my head to look at him. "I'm your future wife, not your current one. You have your white moonlight, so why are you bothering with me?" Jiang Yan paused. "What white moonlight?" I was drunk and didn't bother listening to him. "Why did you come looking for me? Or are you mad because I didn't pay you for sleeping with you the other day?" I pulled a wad of cash from my pocket, intending to stuff it into Jiang Yan's collar. "Here, this is your share. When you..." Jiang Yan was truly furious now, gritting his teeth and squeezing my wrist tightly. "Sober up." "I'm perfectly sober, aren't I?" I also lost my temper. "What are you angry about? I'm clearly the one who's been cheated on here, okay?" Actually, deep down, I knew I was being unreasonable. Jiang Yan had only been with a girl, he hadn't done anything beyond the limit. But just looking at his face, thinking of that cyclamen, I wanted to torment him, provoke him, see him angry, see him cry. But Jiang Yan was never one to cry. He was so angry his eyes were red, making that face even more alluring. I couldn't control myself and leaned closer. "Kiss me." Jiang Yan hesitated for a moment, then gathered all his courage and leaned down, gently kissing my lips. Just as the kiss deepened a little, the dancer who had been watching the show nearby suddenly chuckled. "Your kissing technique is terrible, little man. How are you going to please the pretty lady like that?" Jiang Yan's face immediately turned red, and he dragged me out of the bar. On the crowded street, I looked at his hand squeezing mine, then at his stubborn and irritated back, and couldn't help but sigh. "What are you mad about?" He told the truth. "Your kissing technique really is terrible." Jiang Yan suddenly stopped. Do you like me?" I reached out and stroked his cheek. "I like this face of yours. Whether you're 20 or 29, this face is breathtakingly beautiful, making it impossible for me not to like it." I chuckled softly, with a hint of teasing and revenge, then pulled my hand back. "But right now, you're still very green, and your skills are still bad. Besides your face, there's nothing else worth me liking." I smiled, no longer looking at him, and turned to leave. Jiang Yan suddenly pulled me back, his voice full of worry. "Are you leaving again?" "I've eaten enough, I have to go back." His voice was hoarse, dry like a broken string on a musical instrument. You're really too cruel." "Yes, I am a cruel person." I didn't bother to deny it. "I married you in the future because I didn't want my family to force me into more blind dates. I came back to the past to find you because I couldn't stand the fact that in the future, you'd carry the mark of someone else. I didn't like it, and I wasn't willing to accept it. That's why I came back and slept with you first." I had said everything, very clearly. Jiang Yan looked as if he had been dealt a heavy blow to the heart. His eyes were red, and he slowly released my hand. I thought he would scold me or question me about something. But unexpectedly, I only heard a trembling whisper. "So, will you come back again?" His voice was like a small dog abandoned by its owner. I turned my face away, suddenly not wanting to look at him anymore. "Depends on my mood." With that, I pressed the button on the control device on my wrist. My body turned into light, disappearing on the spot. I had thought that after taking Jiang Yan's first time, I would feel relieved. But unexpectedly, for several days after returning, 20-year-old Jiang Yan's face kept appearing in my mind. It repeated over and over, making me incredibly annoyed. So I rushed straight to his company. That day, after leaving home, he still hadn't returned. I went directly to the door of his office. Jiang Yan was in a meeting with several employees. 29-year-old Jiang Yan was not only handsome but also full of maturity and calmness. Even if someone made a serious mistake, he wouldn't get angry or scold them, he would just lightly frown and offer a solution. His psychological fortitude was admirable. I pushed the door open and called out. "Honey, when are you done with work?" That one word, honey, made everyone in the room look up at me. Everyone looked at each other, then back at Jiang Yan. He put down his documents, his voice, which had just been cold and firm, now softened slightly. "Don't cause trouble, I'm still working." I walked straight in. "Is work more important than your wife?" Jiang Yan waved his hand at the employees. "Meeting adjourned. We'll reschedule it for later." Everyone slowly left the room. The last person even carefully closed the door. Only Jiang Yan and I were left in the room. For some reason, the atmosphere suddenly became awkward. I fiddled with the fountain pen on his desk, then reached out to touch the potted plant. "You're really busy." "Yes, I'm going to Europe soon. I have to finish all my work before I go." "Europe?" I was surprised. "Are you going on a business trip?" "It's our honeymoon." Seeing my hand reaching for the cactus, Jiang Yan silently rotated the pot away from my hand. "The itinerary was planned long ago. But you don't seem to care. If you don't want to go, we can cancel." "No. Of course, we're going. It's a honeymoon, a once-in-a-lifetime thing." I interrupted him, suddenly feeling much better. I happily turned and walked towards the door, when Jiang Yan suddenly called me back. "Have you had lunch yet? If not, let's eat together. Aren't you very busy? There's still time to eat." As Jiang Yan and I walked out of the company side by side, all eyes were on me. Passing by a desk, I saw an employee furiously typing into the company group chat. "This is the first time a woman has come to see CEO Jiang since he founded the company. I always thought the marriage rumors were fake, I even thought the CEO was gay. The only person who came to see him was just me? So, his white moonlight, she never appeared here? Before going on our honeymoon, I wanted to resolve the last lingering obsession in my heart. Therefore, I stood before the temporal gateway once more. From the very first time jump, I had set my destination to 5 years prior. It's just that each time, I arrived at the wrong moment. But this time, I had a feeling, it wouldn't be wrong anymore. Indeed. Jiang Yan was now 24 years old. After graduating from college, he started his own business, opening a small studio, currently in an extremely difficult phase. I found the rented room he was staying in and waited outside the door. I waited until late at night, almost dozing off, when Jiang Yan finally returned, looking exhausted. I yawned and waved at him. Jiang Yan froze for a moment, then rushed over and hugged me tightly. He squeezed me very hard, kissing me as if with both resentment and longing. 4 years, a whole 4 years. Why do you always make me wait so long? He kissed me so hard I couldn't speak. It had been several years, and his kissing technique was still as bad as ever. But no matter how bad it was, desire still surged. Jiang Yan carried me into the rented room, kissing me as he unbuttoned each button of his shirt. When his shirt was completely open, I looked down at his lower abdomen. Clean. Only clear abdominal muscles, absolutely no tattoo. Where's the purple cyclamen? Jiang Yan panted, leaning close to my ear. What purple? That cyclamen. Hasn't anyone planted it on you yet? Jiang Yan remained silent, directly carrying me and placing me on the bed. How bad is my future, exactly? It wasn't exactly bad. But I couldn't say a word. I just gently traced the corner of his eye and his eyebrows, which were slightly damp with sweat. Come on, let me check if your technique has improved. Improved my foot. The rented room was small and old, there wasn't even air conditioning. After a round, I was drenched in sweat, annoyed, and asked. Why haven't your skills improved at all in 4 years? Jiang Yan covered half his face with his hand, his voice small as a mosquito's buzz, with a hint of embarrassment. Well, besides those few times with you 4 years ago, I haven't had any other experience to get better. I burst out laughing. What are you saying? How can that be? Did you not love anyone in the past 4 years? Jiang Yan lowered his hand, frowning at me. Even if you're bad, coming and going as you please, in my heart, you've always been my girlfriend. How could I go and love someone else? Is my future really so bad that you have to think of me that way? It was the first time I'd seen him talk so much. He was clearly driven crazy by me. All right, I was wrong. I leaned down and kissed his lips, clearly seeing the anger in his eyes gradually soften. I soothed him further. Actually, it's not that bad. It was a little pleasant. Jiang Yan's eyes lit up. Really? Really? He hugged me tightly, then pulled the blanket over both of us. Then, let's do it again. I knew I shouldn't have praised him. Reality proved that Jiang Yan indeed had some talent in this area. Although he was a bit awkward after not doing it for several years, he quickly got into the rhythm after just a few times. I was so tired my fingers wouldn't even twitch, and my throat was hoarse. Only then did he stop, but he still insisted on holding me tightly in his arms. The next morning, before he left for work, he leaned close to my ear and carefully asked. This time, you won't leave again, right? I was drowsily sleepy, vaguely replying. No, won't leave, stay. After all, I still hadn't had enough fun. The person holding me was silent for a moment, then softly sighed. Liar. Because I was too tired from the previous night, I spent the entire day lounging in the rented room. In the evening, I changed into a short, seductive dress and sheer black stockings, preparing to go out and meet him after work. But as soon as I stepped to the door, Jiang Yan had already arrived. In his hand was a vibrant bouquet of red roses, each petal soft and elegant. Seeing me dressed as if I was going out, a gloomy glint flashed in his eyes. "Where are you going? To a bar? Or, are you planning to disappear again?" Before I could even open my mouth, he kissed me. "Be good, don't go. As long as you stay, you can tell me to do anything." "Anything?" Suddenly, a mischievous idea popped into my head. "Tell you to kneel, would that be okay?" Jiang Yan didn't answer with words, but with actions. He carried me to the edge of the bed and sat me down, then obediently knelt at my feet, taking my hand, and gently kissing my fingertips. I was too stunned to speak. It was truly unbelievable. 29-year-old Jiang Yan, cold as ice, rigid to the point of inflexibility. Yet 24-year-old Jiang Yan could do something like this. This strong contrast unconsciously excited me. I pulled a rose from the bouquet and handed it to him. "Bite it." Jiang Yan obediently bit the rose stem. He knelt at my feet, looking up, his dark eyes like water, his eyelashes trembling slightly, his eyes moist as if saying everything. This scene was so beautiful it was captivating. My heart pounded uncontrollably. I lifted his chin. "Who taught you that trick?" "No one. It's just that I suddenly remembered you once said, you really liked my face. I said it before, I can do anything, as long as you're willing to, stay." He gently removed my high heels, lifted my feet, and kissed from my toes, along my calves, little by little. It was clearly his first time trying such things. His movements were still very clumsy, and his fingertips trembled with tension. He was forcing himself to let go, forcing himself to be bold. When he kissed my neck, he asked hoarsely, Are you happy?" I swallowed hard, nodding softly. "Happy? If you're happy, then stay." Well, that's impossible." I looked at him seriously. "I don't belong in this time." Jiang Yan remained silent for a long time. I reached out and cupped his face, gently asking, "Why are you suddenly so scared? Did something happen to you?" Jiang Yan hugged me tightly, and after a long while, sadly spoke. "I went to find you. In my own time." I was stunned. I had once thought that after I left, he would continue to live as before, cold, self-controlled, calm. But it turned out not to be the case. The time I disappeared after devouring him, Jiang Yan used every means to find me. He followed the few meager clues, finally finding a girl named Wenyu at a university. 19 years old, in the prime of her youth. But she wasn't me. At that time, I was still an arrogant young lady, my eyes always looking down on others. Even if I brushed past him, it would be with indifference, not even bothering to look a second time. The intense, burning emotions within him suddenly felt like cold water being dumped on him. He looked at my young face, then went mad remembering the face that had once said she was from the future, my 27-year-old self. The person he loved was my future self. The one who had slept beside him, who had held him on hot summer nights, who had gently stroked his hair when he was tired. The one who said she wanted to sleep with him just to get even. The one who made his heart melt and then squeezed it tight in her palm. But he didn't know if she would ever come back. "I've always been waiting for you." Jiang Yan hugged me tightly, his face pressed into the hollow of my neck, his voice hoarse. "For you, it was just a few days. But for me, it was many years." I gently squeezed his arm, hugging him. "I'm sorry for making you wait so long." He exhaled softly, his voice trembling slightly. "If you're really sorry, this time, can you stay a little longer?" I nodded. And so, I stayed, the longest since my first-time jump. He and I lived together like a normal couple. We cooked together, walked together, played games together. We held hands and walked through every sunset, and danced with old couples in the park. We sat squeezed together on the sofa watching romantic movies, then gradually switched to action movies, and then started real action. He touched me everywhere, gently kissing me wherever he could. We slept in each other's arms, then would be woken up in the middle of the night by someone's restless limbs. I truly felt happy. I also discovered many small things I had never known about Jiang Yan before. He was very cold towards outsiders, not saying an extra word. But when he was with me, he was especially soft. Even in bed, he would often whine. "Just one more time, okay?" He had excellent emotional control. Even if someone in the studio made a serious mistake, or if he encountered unreasonable clients, he would handle it calmly, never losing his temper. The only person who made him angry was me. As long as I glanced at a handsome man on the street, he would immediately turn my face back towards him. Is he as handsome as me? Is his hand as nice to hold as mine? Are his lips as easy to kiss as mine? He was so jealous, and clingy like a puppy. And I was absolutely obsessed with that type. Until a month later, the control device on my wrist lit up red. The limited time of my stay was almost up. I had to leave. In this timeline, I was a little reluctant to leave. As soon as my expression changed, Jiang Yan realized I was about to go. He silently looked at me for a while, then suddenly said, "Can you wait a little longer? Just one last night." I nodded. Then Jiang Yan left the rented room. When he returned, he carried a box. Opening it, inside were complete tattoo tools and equipment. He also took out a few yellow drawing papers. I stared blankly at those drawings. They were the cyclamen flowers I had drawn in front of him when he was 14. I never thought he had kept them all this time. He slowly unbuttoned his shirt, revealing his clean upper body, his eyes red-rimmed, his voice hoarse and pleading. "I have a feeling, after this time, you won't come back. Consider it me asking you to fulfill one last wish. Please, leave some mark on my body, when you, please." I looked down at his abdomen, my heart suddenly dazed. It turned out the person who left that mark was me. Knowing that so suddenly, I wasn't surprised at all. It was as if, subconsciously, I had known it all along. I've never done this before, it might be very clumsy. It's okay, as long as it's left by you, it's fine. I looked up the instructions and then took the tattoo pen. They say the lower abdomen and hips are the most painful places to get a tattoo. Throughout the process, Jiang Yan kept staring at me, his lips pressed tightly together. When it hurt the most, his whole body trembled, his hands drenched in sweat gripping the bedsheets tightly, but he didn't utter a single sound. My skill wasn't good, and I tattooed very slowly. It took a full 6 hours to complete. I looked at the cyclamen that had just bloomed on Jiang Yan's lower abdomen, from stem to leaf, extending from his lower abdomen to the hollow of his back. "Jiang Yan, do you know the meaning of the cyclamen flower?" His body trembled. "It's eternal love." How ironic. I was clearly Jiang Yan's white moonlight, yet I didn't know anything, and I was jealous for so long. I suddenly remembered something. "Jiang Yan, later, will you come find me?" "Absolutely. If you come to find me, don't act as clingy as you are now." I recalled 29-year-old Jiang Yan's demeanor, advising the 24-year-old in front of me. "You must be really cold. It's best to ignore me a little, occasionally show impatience, even get angry with me. Even better, be easily annoyed." Jiang Yan was stunned. "I'll treat you like that later? How could I hurt you?" "It's not hurting me." I hugged him. "If you don't do that, I won't be curious, I won't be unwilling to accept it, I won't be jealous. And there wouldn't be me, repeatedly, traveling through time to find you." Before pressing the control button, I kissed him one last time. "Honey, I'll wait for you in the future." When I returned home, it was very late. As soon as I opened the door, I saw Jiang Yan. His gaze no longer looked at me with cold indifference as before, but was filled with suppressed emotion and anxious uneasiness. Have you remembered?" I nodded, then rushed into his arms. After the 4th time jump, I finally understood. Jiang Yan clearly remembered everything, knew everything, but had to pretend nothing had happened, approaching me step by step, taking me one by one to meet the past versions of himself. The corners of his eyes were red-rimmed, and he hugged me tightly, as if wanting to melt me into his flesh and blood. I always wanted to hug you, to kiss you, but I had to constantly restrain myself, pretending to be indifferent. If you hadn't come back sooner, I think I would have gone crazy. I didn't have time to say anything, just hugged him, from the door to the bedroom, entangled and entwined. No longer patient enough to unbutton each shirt button, I decisively tore it open. His body at 29 was much firmer than at 24. Hot, passionate. My hand touched the scratch mark I had left on his waist, the rough scar making my heart ache. Honey, back then, did it hurt? Jiang Yan smiled and said it didn't hurt. My hand then moved down to his lower abdomen. And when you got this tattoo? The tattoo artist was unskilled, it hurt quite a bit. Then he paused for a moment. But what hurt the most was the years of separation, the times when only I carried the memories, while you remembered nothing, even suspecting I had been with another woman on our wedding night. Stop talking. The more I listened, the more my heart ached. I flipped over and sat on top of him, kissing his lips. Then, let me spend the rest of my life making it up to you, okay? Jiang Yan smiled and hugged me. Okay, you said it, the rest of our lives. Before going home, I went to see my father. From his mouth, I learned the reason the family was willing to acknowledge Jiang Yan was not because they valued his potential, but because he willingly invested half of his assets into the Temporal Gateway project that the Wen family was researching. Even many high-ranking executives of the Wen Group didn't quite believe in this project. Not long ago, Jiang Yan even personally adjusted the technical parameters of the machine. I suddenly understood. It turned out that my time traveling to the wrong time was not a coincidence. 29-year-old Jiang Yan had poured all his efforts into finding me. He was the one who brought my 27-year-old self to his 8-year-old, 14-year-old, 20-year-old, and 24-year-old selves. He repeatedly brought me back to save his own past. And I, because of those encounters, gradually fell in love with him, and finally left the cyclamen on his body. Time, at this moment, had finally closed into a perfect circle. One end was me. The other end was Jiang Yan. Love surged intensely. No matter how many separations, there would eventually be a day for reunion. And this time, we would never be apart again. During our honeymoon in Europe, Jiang Yan took advantage of me being at my happiest, in the best mood, to ask a question that had bothered him for many years. When I was 20, after sleeping with Jiang Yan, my attitude suddenly changed. Why exactly? Was it really because Jiang Yan's skills were bad? I couldn't blame him for being petty. Honestly, no man could stand that kind of evaluation. The smile on my face immediately vanished, my eyes widened, and I suddenly slammed the table and stood up. You're still asking me? Wasn't it because when I went to your school to find you, I happened to see you with a girl carrying a drawing board? You even smiled at her. I instinctively thought she was the one who tattooed that cyclamen on you. How could I be in a good mood? Jiang Yan thought for a long time, still looking bewildered. When he was in school, his personality was as quiet as water. He used every spare moment to work part-time. Let alone female students, he barely even talked to male friends. Wait a minute, carrying a drawing board? The person you're talking about, could it be Chi Jun? I don't care what you call them. Seeing that I seemed genuinely angry, Jiang Yan quickly pulled me close to coax me. You must have seen wrong. That's a boy, the son of Professor, surname. He was also a very close friend of his from college. I still didn't believe him. Jiang Yan thought for a while, and finally, reluctantly, with a look of intense jealousy, showed me a shirtless photo of Chi Jun. He only let me look for 1 second, then immediately put his phone away. He was afraid that I, being a strong admirer of good looks, might actually change my mind if I looked a few more times. The misunderstanding was finally resolved, but Jiang Yan still pretended to be sulking, making me coax him for a long time. Then he also got a full meal. The most severely damaged person during Jiang Yan's and my honeymoon was Chi Jun. Jiang Yan's personal WeChat friend list only had a few genuinely close friends. Qi Jun was the only single one among them. Every day he opened his social media, Qi Jun wanted to curse. Who goes on a honeymoon and posts dozens of affectionate photos on social media every single day, rain or shine? He was so force-fed dog food that he almost choked to death. Finally, he couldn't stand it anymore and called Jiang Yan, who was then traveling in Barcelona. But as soon as the call connected, before he could even voice his complaints, he only offered blessings. Jiang Yan smiled and thanked him. Qi Jun couldn't help but ask, "I really don't understand, you and when you only met a few times and you already got married, just how much do you love her?" "You wouldn't understand." Jiang Yan held his wife in his arms, feeling that no matter how much he hugged, kissed, or loved her, it was never enough. "Her existence has spanned my entire life. Later, one day, I also got a tattoo. I got it on my shoulder. It was a Mobius strip." The tattoo artist asked why I chose this design. I thought for a moment and replied, "Because it symbolizes infinity, and also eternity. The beginning and the end intertwine, wrapping around each other, circle after circle, endlessly, without conclusion. Just like the love between Jiang Yan and me." End of story.